What is up, my friends, and welcome to another edition of the XFL Week in Review. I'm your host, Mark Perry, editor of XFL News Hub. On this week's show, XFL CFO Search underway, and it's not me, in case you're wondering. Plus, the Pats and the NFL have another issue with the Houston Roughnecks logo, plus the latest news going on in the world of XFL. So, if you want to be part of the show, you email podcast at XFL News Hub with your MP3s or call 888-430-7692 extension 3. And remember to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We'll read it on the show. And remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. So, this week's show, we have a couple news tidbits. First, we'll get into the big news, which is the XFL CFO Search and another issue with the Houston Roughnecks logo. We'll get into that. But there was some other news, some news and notes from this week. First up, Pep Hamilton interviewed for the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive coordinator job. So we'll see if he will land that. Now, of course, he was with the Los Angeles Chargers until Anthony Lynn's firing, but then I don't know if he's still on the Chargers. Brandon Staley is officially signed as the new Chargers head coach. I'm not really sure if he is part of the new regime. Of course, he had a huge success in Justin Herbert's first year and could be an offensive rookie of the year candidate. There's no question about that. So we're not sure if he will bring Pep Hamilton back. But also this puts out another thing is what's the XFL going to do? Maybe the XFL now has an opportunity to bring him back. Do they do that? And have they done? Are they going to do that? We don't know how that's going to transpire. And also whether or not he gets the job. Pep Hamilton's name has been bounced around a couple of different NFL franchises, the Steelers being one of the predominant ones. They had somebody in place. They actually interviewed not only Pep Hamilton, but they're also interested in Hugh Jackson as well. But they had Matt Canada. They were expected to promote him, but they wanted to interview some other candidates. So we'll see if Pep Hamilton goes to the evil Steelers, which I hope not. I'd rather him just come back to the DC Defenders, which would be outstanding. But we don't even have a CFO yet. All right, Chief Football Officer, and we'll get into that. So I guess we're just going to have to wait and see about that. Also, one of the things I wanted to talk about that we have on XFL News Hub is we now have up the XFL players who sign NFL futures contracts in 2021. So then we'll explain that later in the next episode, perhaps, about what that means to sign an NFL futures contract. But you could see on the list, if you're watching on the YouTubes, Jordan Tamu is on that list. Jaron Jones. Let's see. Who is the long snapper of the Ravens? Yeah. No. Let's see. I'm looking through the list. Nick Moore. That's right. Nick Moore of the Vipers was on the practice squad for the Ravens most of the season. And the Ravens today actually let their longtime snapper, I believe of 11 seasons, go. And I think Nick Moore, who played with the Vipers, is now going to be in line to potentially be the starting long snapper for the Baltimore Ravens, which would be kind of cool. There's some new names to this list. Tyree Jackson signed with the Eagles, Goodwin Abikwe, Elliott Fry, Austin Prohl with the Dragons. He signed with the 49ers. So there are some guys on here that actually weren't on NFL rosters this year, but were part of the XFL, but signed these future contracts. So we'll have that list up, and then if anything changes, we'll check that out. But we're definitely going to have something up here soon talking about what it means to have this NFL futures contract. And because this is all new stuff to me, as well as you, because we didn't do this 2 years ago or a year ago. We were just talking about what the team names are going to be. So that's the news tidbits for this week. So without further ado, folks, let's just get into the week that was the XFL. In a report by Ben Fisher of the Sports Business Daily, the XFL search for a new CFO, that's Chief Football Officer, to replace Oliver Luck is underway. This new role would oversee all football operations in the new XFL 3.0 era. The position will be similar to the XFL commissioner before, but a little bit with less autonomy. According to our Mike Mitchell quote, the search for the CFO for the XFL has been underway for a while now. The role will be slightly different than the one Oliver Luck had for the last year when he was commissioner of the league. It's a key hire that will set the XFL on a path towards 2022. Now, according to the report, quote, CAA Sports Executive Search Team led by Joe Betcher is running the search. Redbird founder Jerry Cardinal is taking a personal interest in the search, and that's good, while Redbird partner and former Browns president Alex Schneider is also heavily involved. Also, former Bills and Sabres president Russ Brandon is advising Redbird on XFL matters, sources said, close quote. Alex Schneider in 2010 was named to Sports Business Journal's 40 Under 40 list of top young executives while working for the Dallas Cowboys as their vice president. He left Dallas in 2012 to become the team president of the Cleveland Browns till 2016. Russ Brandon is best known for his 21-year stint in the front office of the Buffalo Bills. He joined them in 1997 and left in 2017. Fisher says that the search has been underway for this new CFO for about 2 months now, and also that Chief Marketing and Commercial Officer Jordan Schlechter is back working with the XFL as well. So now it seems that Schlechter, along with XFL President Jeffrey Pollack, has returned to the new XFL 3.0, working for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Danny Garcia, and Redbird Capital Partners versus Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Schlechter was hired for the first time by the XFL in April of 2019. Before working for the XFL, he was the chief marketing officer of the National Basketball Players Association and president of its marketing and revenue arm, Think 450. So we're starting to hear some hires, but whoever gets hired as the new CFO needs to hit the ground running. Kickoff for the 2022 season will be here before you know it. Stay tuned with XFL News Hub on all the latest XFL hirings in 2021. Earlier this month, we heard that the NFL properties on behalf of the Tennessee Titans / Houston Oilers had filed a opposition to the oil derrick used in their primary logo when it comes to the Houston Roughnecks. Now, on Tuesday, NFLP officially filed another opposition to the secondary logo of the Houston Roughnecks on behalf of the New England Patriots. Similar to the previous filing, the opposition started in 2019. It wasn't and can't be made official until the United States Patent and Trademark Office grants the mark application. That was published in July of 2020, followed by a first 90-day extension since the XFL was in bankruptcy proceedings, and a second extension after the sale to Alpha Equico, the group with Danny Garcia, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and Jerry Cardinal of Redbird Capital. The court only allows 2 extensions, 60 and 90 days, and since they both have expired, the motion has been made official. The XFL has until February 28th to respond to the NFL. Unlikely to ever actually go to a court trial, but if it does, there will be a discovery hearing, and the NFLP has to prove that the XFL designed this logo with the intent to confuse the public and piggyback off the goodwill established by the updated 1993 logo of the New England Patriots. Paragraph 16 reads, quote, applicant's adoption of applicant's mark was willful and with knowledge of opposer's prior trademark rights. Applicant's adoption of applicant's mark was intended to trade off on the goodwill that opposers have built in the Patriots mark, close quote. Similar to the previous position, this is likely probably to end in some settlement. However, hopefully it's not any big drag on the new owners of the XFL because they're trying to start something new and get this thing off the ground. And this isn't something you really want to get in your way to kick things off. So we'll see how this all plays out by the end of February.
Here's what you missed on the XFL Markcast.
We have a really great show today. We have Jordy Jackson Erdman coming up from Fan Control Football. He's in the bubble right now. I hate burying the lead. I always bury the lead. Jackson Erdman, Jordy's coming up. right off of his practice. He came home to the hotel room and hopped on the show. We really appreciate that. And then we have Vince from the Alternate Football Scouting Report coming on as well to talk about, he's covering all the stats and everything with the XFL stuff. He's a brainiac when it comes to all that stuff.
There's a lot of info there that Vince spends a lot of time on, so we're appreciating him coming on and chatting about that.
Yeah, so we're going to do all our XFL stuff, and then we're going to get to, we got the big fan control football dump, and then, not to bury the lead too much, my wife is joining us on the show. I probably should have said that before about 10 minutes in. We had the whole thing last week with the Houston Roughnecks. The oil tower and the Oilers, the Houston Oilers, NFL was suing because of that. And everyone said last week, they go, oh, don't worry about it. The Houston Roughnecks, they have the alternate logo. They can use that. It's totally fine. And we said, that looks really a lot like the New England Patriots logo. Guess what happened this week?
The Patriots sued.
Yeah, the NFL sued on behalf of the Patriots. Did you know it's the Flying Elvis? That's like the official name of the Patriots logo.
I did not know that.
And then the XFL, the Roughnecks one is just known as Man. So they were not as clever.
That's great.
We said it last week. What do you think? I think that this is definitely a problem.
Maybe. It's not as bad as the oil rigs. That's clear. This one's a little bit, I don't know, like, is this going to set a precedent to where any sports team that has like that half face with a hat on is going to be sued?
It's just a super cool idea, and I'm excited to be a part of the inaugural season, and I think it has a lot of potential. This could potentially be the future for football is maybe easier calling actual plays, but who knows, across all sports it could be like this in the future. So I'm pretty pumped up just to see how it have firsthand experience of how it operates, and then how it plays out.
Of course, you can find XFL Markcast on XFL News Hub and wherever you get podcasts, including YouTube.
What's up, XFL Army? If you're a fan of the XFL News Hub and you have a telephone, which I know all of you do because you're sitting there playing on your phones all the time, then why not download the XFL News Hub app? That's right, it's on iTunes. It's on Android. We have an Android version and an iPhone version of the XFL News Hub app. So what do you get? You get the latest news from XFL News Hub, the premier source of XFL news in the universe. Plus, you get push notifications when we have breaking news. You will be the first to know. You can leave a comment on some of the news right from your phone. Plus, you get this podcast on your phone as well. Remember, you can leave us reviews on the Google Play Store or iTunes. It links to other social media, our other social media accounts, and so much more. Be in the know. I know you're on your phones. People are on their phones all the time. They never get off their phones. So why not just download the XFL News Hub app on your Android or iPhone today? All you need to do is go to the Google Play Store or iTunes and just type in XFL News Hub. That's XFL News Hub. Download our app on your phone today. And if you're watching on YouTube and you're like, why does he keep looking down? It's my dog is here. We have a puppy. He is 6 months old. His name is Finn. He's the best dog ever. And he's been sniffing all around me, and he's hanging out while I'm doing the podcast. Maybe we'll debut Finn's picks maybe this coming up. Well, he'll be big in 2 years from now. Do an NFL pick or XFL picks. That'd be kind of cool. All right, let's get to the social media stuff. First on the Facebook, Roman Roughneck. Talking about the XFL Houston Roughnecks secondary logo opposition from the NFL. He says, and things like that are the reason I want the XFL back so badly. Having quality football without unnecessary crap and childish behavior like that, you have clearly earned the name No Fun League, and other people are not too happy about that. About DC Defenders' former coach, Pep Hamilton, interviewing with the Steelers, he says, I too think he'd be a great addition to the Steelers. He did great with the DC Defenders, and as a Steelers fan, I'd welcome him. I want him to go back to DC. This would be a good hire, Jordan says. And Barham says, wishing XFL 2022 XFL has a preseason games and on the 2 Saturdays without NFL games to say stay tuned for more. Interesting idea there. Appreciate that. Also, on last week's podcast, Roman says, I have the bad feeling he'll never get a shot in KC. I'd love to see him back with the Battlehawks. Talking about Jordan Ta'amu, of course. On to the YouTubes. Lots of YouTube stuff this week. Paladin says, I intended to freehand the Guardians logo on the helmets for Project Guardians. Just need a little practice. We've got some more Paladin demo stuff here to show you in a little bit. Jason says, is the Dallas Renegades logo the old Dallas Arenas team? And Blacksmith says, no, the old arena team was a skull with guns. And then Addertude says, actually, no, the Dallas Desperados had a similar logo to the Renegades. Jack says, nice as always. Addertude says, the guy with the long hashtag basically said he wants to see exhibition games between the Battlehawks and the Chiefs. Edited. Also, the guy suggesting the XFL play in the fall doesn't remember what happened to the USFL when they tried to compete with the NFL. The XFL's decision to be spring football was a decision specifically made to avoid competing for ratings in the NFL. That is 100% true. It says San Diego has no decent arena to play until the Aztec Stadium's construction is done, and that's not until September 2022 as per projections. Yeah, there's no way the XFL is going to compete in the fall. So get that out of the way. Punk Lover 99, California didn't need another football team, at least not in LA Rams. Chargers clogged the area, maybe up north. Brian says, loyal XFL fan for life, hashtag go New York. Cool. Oliver XD talking about the Houston Roughnecks secondary logo. He says they weren't even trying to hide it. Shake my head. Agree with that. Brian says there's no way they tried to trick someone with the logo. If the logo was meant for an NFL team, it would be in the news. That's the whole thing. It's like, how did they... I wonder if the NFL is even just going to lose these. Paladin says, let's not settle in court. XFL versus NFL game. NFL wins, logo stay. XFL wins, logo stay. NFL wins, will relocate the Roughnecks. That's not going to happen. They're not going to change the name, but maybe they would change the logo. Ken and Mac says, I'm boycotting the NFL playoffs because of this. It's stupid, petty, and nothing more than a money grab tactic. NFL is just scared because the XFL is the first league since the USFL to provide quality football and present itself in the long run as a potential primary competitor to the NFL's base audience. Dumb, dumb, and dumb. They're not. XFL is not going to compete with the NFL at all. It's a complementary thing, but it's not part of the NFL. They're not worried about, the NFL isn't really worried about, they would prefer to have the XFL, I think, to be honest with you, because this would give them an opportunity to get, you want quality players in your league. And if you can get a league that develops quality players to help your league, i.e. college football, then you would want that. So this idea that somehow the NFL doesn't want the XFL to succeed, I don't think is true at all. That's not true. Todd says XFL just needs to stop the oil rig from their logo and use the H with a star or two on it. It'll make it much look cleaner. A bunch of responses to that about the oil rig. Isaac says, honestly, if this is infringement, then the Sharks logo is infringement on the Penguins logo. It just looks like a shark came through the Penguins logo and ate the Penguins. Interesting. About the search for a CFO, Mr. Clown Baby 20 says, awesome news. Elijah says, talking about the logos, I don't see it. I mean, I kind of agree with him. I mean, you can't have a face. You're not allowed to have a face, so make a guy turn to the left. They're both facing the right. Make them turn to the left. Does that make it? You know what I mean? Come on. JCFI, well, a bunch of stuff. Wish they could start sooner. I can't wait. Go Dragons. Yes, I can't wait either for this thing to kick off. Isaiah says facepalm this logo too. Yes, both of them. Fellow Houston Roughnecks, mini docs is where you at. They're here. Jack Stevens, another stupid thing the NFL is doing. Hope they, yes, I'm talking about the logo. He also says, hope they get a good one, talking about the CFO. They need to bring back Eric Galco, too. That's Daryl. 100% agree with Daryl. They need to bring Eric Galco back about that. Adversity says, hey, MLB, sign my okay, somebody wants to play for the Major League Football, MLFB. We'll see whatever if they play. Young Marco says, wish they were playing this year and not 2022. I know, but at least if we can get some kind of announcements going and like coaches and, are these players going to return and maybe like a summer camp or something to get these players together? Like what was their plans this summer? Were they going to have more open stuff? Were they going to anticipating 70% of the players to return to the league? And then they were just going to fill in the gaps were they going to do stuff over the summertime with you had teams? I mean, how great would it be to have a couple camps, for a week-long camp over the summer and invite fans in and get interactive? So I don't know what their plans were. But hopefully we can get something this summer because, I'm like, I don't want to wait. I'm being impatient. I don't have to wait another year. Are you kidding me? I'm going to get older. Every year we get a little bit older. Justin says, relocate Tampa Bay to Orlando and rebrand them. Tell Dwayne to stick his Johnson into Orlando and purchase the rights of the Orlando Predators. That would be awesome. The XFL needs the Orlando Predators in colors on national TV. Do you smell what Orlando is cooking, Rock? Justin, being very vocal about what he wants The Rock to do. Appreciate that. On to the Instagram, talking about the CFO search. Phil Steampunk this is on Insta. We need a team in Philadelphia. Go Steampunk. There's not going to be a team in Philadelphia. On the Roughnecks logo, Ricky Rodriguez. Wow, how stupid colleges use pro logos all the time. True. Joe Alberti says, too bad NFL has no say in the XFL. Grandma 6097, Grandma, hopefully that's one of the grandmas in the show. She says, stupid. The no fun league. Wants to be the only football organization in the market. Chauncey Gilroy, NFL is just upset that their Houston team's names isn't as cool. LOL. Yeah, I could maybe see that. XFL Zone. Yeah, I don't see it. Chief. Okay. A Smith 152 looks nothing alike, just the same colors. I agree. I honestly, you can't tell me that, people in the trademark office didn't look at these two things, and if there was a real big issue, they would have changed their minds. On to the Twitter. Jake Henry had posted at Jake Henry, said, weird. 5 XFL teams are no longer verified: Tampa, Houston, Dallas, New York, Seattle, while 3 others, St. Louis, DC, and Los Angeles, were verified. Mike Jones asked us, any reason behind this? Yeah, I think apparently according to what us and the XFL writers were talking about was that if you don't use your verified account for a long time, you lose that verification. And I think they're being more picky when it comes to verification. So honestly, it's much to do about nothing, in my opinion. About the chief CFO search, I really hope they bring Eric Galco back. He did a great job bringing in talent to the XFL. That was from XFL Extra Points. Paul Jackson, Paul M. Jackson 9 says, talking about the logo situation, this is beyond idiotic. NFL is trying to bully them. They're not going to make any fans with that. MIG21BIS fish bed. It's complicated. This one's really dumb. This would open up the NFL to go after freaking college teams like the UTEP Miners. I agree that I don't think this is going to go anywhere. Extra Points also said, if they end up with a change, I wouldn't mind something like this to replace it with. He's got a cool picture of the Miner logo with like a skull, and I think that's really kind of cool, but I'm sure now that you posted it, now they can't use it because then they have to pay you, that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, it's an unfortunate situation because the XFL is trying to get off the ground, and now they have to deal with the NFL's legal thing. And I think they knew this was coming for a while, but everything got delayed. If you read the articles from Josh Davis, you know that things kind of gotten delayed that they were going to battle this out. But even the logos came out even before that. I don't know. So this was getting punted, and they were definitely going to go after it. I don't think the XFL has no financial interest to pay off the NFL. They don't have it. They don't even made any money. They have no, we don't know if they have a TV contract. It's honestly, I wouldn't settle this at all, to be honest with you, because you don't pay them anything. You're trying to save money and get a league off the ground, and now you're going to get hampered by having to pay royalties to the NFL to use a logo. Be like, we'll just change the name. We'll just change the logo. I'm sure they had 20 other designs for the logo. You let the Patent and Trademark Office duke it out and to tell you if it is infringing or not, and then you move on. And maybe this was just a flex by the NFL, but I'm not paying the NFL anything. I could just make a new logo. Then I don't know if this opens them up to litigation afterwards. Well, you used it for a year. I mean, seemed kind of petty. Why don't you go after college football teams that use logos that are similar? It's unfortunate because I'll be honest with you. I'm a little concerned going forward that if we don't get any news in the next 2 weeks of anything, are we going to have a 2022 season? Everybody seems like, oh, just hang on tight, and I'm with you, and I'm buying you, and Danny Garcia and The Rock, Jeffrey Pollock. Like I believe in you guys, and I know that you guys can do what you got to do, but the clock is starting to tick now. Now we're almost a year out of a new XFL season to return, and you got a couple people on payroll. Like, where are the team presidents? You can start, where are the coaches? What's going to happen over the summer? Are you going to do anything in the spring? This is the dead zone. The next month, you just have the Super Bowl, and there's basketball and NHL going on, and, of course, wrestling always going on. But not having anything going on right now concerns me that if you're not using this time to drop some big news items onto fans to get them pumped for the season and start spending some money on some season tickets, etc., that kind of concerns me a little bit. All right, on to the emailers. First up, Eric checking in. He says, regarding the Ravens, how long are your lost hangover going to last? I'm over it now. I'm good. I'm more excited about the XFL and wrestling right now, to be honest with you. It's a shame, but Kansas City's a great team, and it's going to be a good Super Bowl. I'm looking forward to it. Will the Bills choke? They did. I don't think they choked, but they're a young team. They're making their way. Your Super Bowl and your predictions. Oh, all right. We're going to do that. You email me, podcast@xflnewshub.com with your Super Bowl predictions. I think Kansas City is going to win it again. But they did lose their left tackle, and I think that's a big problem. But, I don't think Brady has got it to do it one more time. I think Kansas City goes back-to-back. I think Patrick Mahomes is good. And you know what? Maybe he'll leave now that he won 2 Super Bowls and play in the XFL, because that would be a real good idea for him to do. Is it certain the XFL is shooting for 2022, if not the fall of 2022 at the latest? Spring 2022, that's where it's at. We're going to do spring 2022. That's all I can tell you there. That's the goal. They're not going to do fall, nothing. Our man Paladin checking in. If you want to check out, especially if you're on the YouTubes, you can check out his pictures. He says, current progress on the Project Guardians. Numbers is done. Decals are high quality. Stuck to the miniature better. That's why the 10 is off-centered. Put position names on base for opponents to see. Equipment is done. Did both gold and silver since it's an Imperial Nobility team. Having both kinds of currency medals. And yes, still did the X on the balls. Looking really cool. Definitely need some of those things. But some cool stuff from XFL fans. Totally excited about that. I'm totally excited to be able to hang out with you guys this week. Remember, if you want to be part of the show, just email podcast at XFL News Hub with your MP3s or videos. Call 888-430-7692 extension 3. Give us your Super Bowl predictions. We'd like that. Plus, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. And, of course, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can listen to us anywhere. Show notes, xflnewshub.com/XFL-podcast. Join us on the Discord so you'll be the first to know about fantasy football coming. Our fantasy pro wrestling site has been doing well and just did hooks for email notifications and hoping to get a couple more drafts in and more people to sign up. So the system is working good. I'm pretty excited about what we're going to do for the XFL stuff. I would like to get, especially people on the Discord, I will ask questions. I'm thinking, I really think that when you do a fantasy game for the XFL, you need to have, you can't pick quarterbacks, you can't pick kickers, and you can't pick defenses. If you have an 8-team league, there's no way you can go, PJ Walker and, PJ Walker and Josh Johnson. Because then the team's not going to have a quarterback, and it's just ridiculous, and you can't play. So in those instances, you're going to have to pick a team. You're going to have to pick the DC Defenders, the Houston Roughnecks, for your defense, for your kicker, and for your offense. Because there's just not enough players, and there's not enough teams. There's only 8 teams. That's the only way to do it. So that's, I think, is going to go forward. But I definitely want feedback from you guys. On the Discord is where you could do it, or even just email me, podcast at XFL News Hub. And we'll start gathering that kind of stuff over the summer as I build out. And my goal is to have the fantasy app at least live for you guys after an XFL draft in October. So we get kind of what the teams are and the rosters, and then we upload all that stuff. And then potentially maybe even start having some drafts. I would like to set up a system to do mock drafts so you can have some fun playing against the computer or doing drafts against other people as a way to kind of warm up the system, because when it's go time, it's going to be huge. So I'm super excited about that. So if you want to be involved with that community, I know it's early, but join us on the Discord. Hell, they still talk about fantasy football now, even though the fantasy football season is over. And really, the fantasy football season is like August and September, and then that's it. And then it just goes interest in fantasy football. But they still talk about it year-round, so clearly people are listening and are super into it. I'm into it, and I'll be into it. I'll be the guy that gives you all the fantasy news and notes for XFL News Hub in 2022 season. So anyway, that's it for me, folks. Stay safe out there. God bless. That's been a fun show. And you know what I do every time. Hopefully we get some news in the next 2 weeks. Fingers crossed. I want something big. Otherwise, I'm going to be a little worried. So that's it for me, folks. And I will see you all, you know what I say, later.